Hey everyone, I'm Robbie Cornthwaite.
I'm Daniel Mullen.
I'm Angelo Costanzo.
I'm Marco Flores.
I'm Marcelo Carusca.
I'm Ian Fife.
This is Casio, and you're watching.
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 And you are watching
Pure Bred Reds, Adelaide United Fan TV.
Hi, I'm Daniel Mullen, former Adelaide United player and Asian Champions League winner with Western Sydney Wanderers. When it comes to any of my soccer needs, I do my shopping here at Soccer Locker. An Australian-owned and operated business, the store is located at Shop 5 of 181 to 183 Grange Road, Findon. Founded in 2017, Soccer Locker was introduced into the market to fulfil all the soccer-related needs of Australians, providing a huge range of quality clothing and equipment ranging from soccer balls, team kits, goalkeeper gear, accessories and much more. Recently arrived stock also includes stunning retro kits from some of our favourite past eras as fans of the world game. Soccer Locker is a specialist in premier range boots, Adidas and Puma, goalkeeper gear and licensed merchandise. Visit us online at www.soccerlocker.com.au with free delivery Australia-wide. So get shopping now at our Findon store, open from 10 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. from Monday to Friday and open Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Welcome along to the Pure Bred Reds Adelaide United Fan TV. I'm your host Ellis Gelios, coming to you today with a preview of today's game. 6:45 kickoff between Adelaide United and Newcastle Jets. It's a hugely important game for both teams, and we've got a hugely important caller joining us from Paramount Plus and Network 10. He is certainly one of the best young voices going around in football commentary. It's Ben Homer. Great to welcome you, Ben, to the show. How are you?
Yeah, good, Ellis. How are you?
Very well, thank you, Ben. It's great to get you on. Thanks so much for giving us some of your time. I know you're extremely busy. Adelaide versus Newcastle, it's a massive game because both teams need points. Adelaide United, for different reasons, having played more games than any other club. Newcastle, that finals, passage is going to start getting thinner and thinner if they don't start accumulating more and more points. So you must be really looking forward to this game.
Yeah, a really important one, as you said, for both sides. And both are sort of trending in opposite directions. Obviously, Newcastle winless in their last three and losing those last two on the bounce. But then Adelaide obviously have won their last two, won three of their last four. So they're playing some good football at the moment. And we know at the start of the season, the Reds were quite inconsistent, but I feel like they're really finding a groove in recent weeks. A lot of 2-1 wins, actually. Maybe the Reds are the 2-1 kings with Western United, obviously the 1-0 kings. So, it's been a good turnaround for Adelaide. The Jets, as we were saying, they are in a little bit of a rut at the moment. And it's quite funny because last year the issue was for Newcastle scoring goals. This year it's keeping them out. And I think, at the start of the season when the previews would have been written, sometimes in previews it said, the best storyline or the best headline for the Newcastle Jets come, the end of the season, or the worst headline. And I think the worst headline would have been Newcastle's attack firing, but leaked way too many goals and, defensive disasters result in them not making the finals. And at this point right now, it's sort of gone that way, but there's still time, obviously, to turn it around for the Jets.
6:45 kickoff SA time on Paramount Plus tonight. Don't miss it. Ben, we'll get into it, starting first by discussing the new Adelaide United captain, Craig Goodwin. Now, he basically, he started his career at Melbourne Heart at the time, but really sort of came onto the scene at the Jets. So talk to us about the memories you have from Craig really becoming established in the sense that he's now one of the core important wide players for Australia, back at his time at the Jets several years ago now. And obviously his career pathway, it's taken him overseas. Probably didn't work out the way he would have liked it to have worked out overseas, but he's come back with 2 consecutive stints at Adelaide United now. I think he's the 3rd time highest appearance earner 2 at the club. So obviously Craig Goodwin will retire and leave a massive legacy at Adelaide United amongst the greatest players to have ever played for the club.
Yeah, I think it's really special that obviously Craig's been named as the captain and he well and truly deserves it. And obviously it's, sad, obviously, not just for Adelaide fans, but the whole league that Stefan Mork has headed overseas. He's a wonderful player, but also very articulate in the way he discusses the game, and he's fantastic in interviews. Normally, I don't really like listening to post-match interviews and that kind of thing because the players are very standard, but Stefan was outstanding. So big shoes to fill for Craig in that department, but I know that he will be able to fill them. And in terms of when he was at Newcastle, obviously he'd come from Melbourne Heart, obviously Melbourne City now, and he was a young player because what happened was that season Gary Van Egmond had taken over because Nathan Tinkler was in charge of the club at that point as the owner. And he brought in a legion of young players, and Craig Goodwin was one of those. And as, you know, a lot of young players are, he had moments of absolute brilliance where he was just superb. I remember he scored a couple of free kicks against Sydney. I think they had a 2-2 draw, really couple of good goals, but then there were matches where he wasn't brilliant. But that was the beginnings of where you could just see his quality coming through. And I just think that maybe that period at Newcastle, I'm just having a look at his stats here. So he got 25 games in the 12-13 season. That was that first one under Gary Van Egmond. And then the season after was where I believe Clayton Zane would have taken over. They sort of didn't have a great season. But you think of the amount of game time he got at that period of time was a massive help. When we talk about young players, the key is just getting game time, you know, getting them into the system. He played a lot of games and then obviously spent some time with Adelaide and then went overseas and then has since come back. And I just think that those games, whether Newcastle obviously weren't playing big matches at that time of their existence, because as usual, Newcastle weren't making finals, but it was such an important grounding for him. And then obviously it's been fantastic to see how well he's performed at Adelaide. And I think that European experience as well in the Netherlands, but also in Asia as well, have just helped him. You know, I'm sure he'd say just helped him give himself a more worldview and just pick up different things from different parts of the world. I just think that's so important to becoming a well-rounded sports person.
Yeah, it's funny that you came to that view because his father, Tony, will tell you exactly that, having spoken to him recently. Let's discuss Adelaide's record at home versus away. I know you just touched on basically the way it's been with Adelaide this year. Very interesting to see them not particularly firing at home, which is what we've come to expect as of since really the Spanish Revolution under Josep Dombau and Marco Kurz and Gerdien Verbeek even for a period there, and now under Carl Viet. So Newcastle travelling to Adelaide, I guess that would be how Newcastle views this for considering how they can make this out to be a danger game.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like the away record, we were talking about that before we pressed record, Alice, just about that away record, and it did surprise me somewhat that Adelaide, so on that away ladder, they're actually sitting 11th. So obviously haven't played as many, on the home ladder, they haven't played as many home matches as a lot of sides in the comp, but it's something that we do associate the Reds with being so good at home. So I think Newcastle can use that to their advantage in the sense that you're going to the best football stadium in the country because, you know, the crowd's so close, it's right on top of you. And you can go one of two ways. You can sort of crumble and fall apart, or you can go out and go, how good is it to be in a stadium which is built for football? There's not many stadiums in this country that you can say has been built for football. And that is going to be a great experience for some of the players that haven't played there before, like Pena, Mikkel Tudzi, likes of those boys, and Michael Weir as well. I think he's going to play the goalkeeper because Jack Duncan's injured. So they should really see this as an exciting opportunity. They know it's going to be a good pitch. And a great chance for them to play some good football. So I think that's the way the Jets should be looking at it. I'm sure they will be trying to look at it that way, but you never know how it goes when you walk out onto the pitch.
And just regarding players to watch out across both teams, who are you sort of tipping to have a bit of a night out here, Ben?
Well, I'm going to say for Newcastle, I don't think you go past the likes of Pena. Obviously, he's been superb for Newcastle. Mikkel Tudzi as well. From an Adelaide perspective, obviously Craig Goodwin. I'm looking forward to seeing how Craig Goodwin deals with being the captain, because I know, like in football, compared to a sport like cricket, the captain doesn't have as significant a role, but some players go to another level when they get given the armband. And I feel like Craig is a player this is the perfect time for him to be given the armband. You know, he's done the time, spent all that time at the club. He's an experienced player, and I think it can really take him to another level. So that's one watch for me. The other one is Iran Kunda. Now, I know he's probably going to be coming off the bench. He won't be starting. But remember when he scored the equaliser against Newcastle at McDonald Jones Stadium earlier in the season to make it 1-1? Probably the diehard Reds fans were the only ones that had heard of him. And it was a stunning goal. And I had a chat to him after the game, and I was just talking about, you know, where he went to in that moment. And he was talking about, you know, park football, going back and thinking about that free kick, sort of visualizing and just putting it away. And then, of course, did the same thing, not from the free kick, but scored that late goal against the Mariners. So he's such an exciting player, and I just hope that he can keep this consistency going, not just this season, but in the coming years, because I know sometimes with the Toure boys burst onto the scene, and obviously they're still playing in the competition, but I just hope that he can make all this promise count down the track in the years coming. And I know sometimes we put too much pressure on young players, and I hope that isn't the case for him, but I'm just really looking forward to seeing how he develops over the coming years. And just finally, Ibusuki, I've absolutely loved watching him play. I just think he would have been a fantastic player if the Reds were in the Champions League. I just think against some of the other sides in Asia, obviously a massive advantage being from the Asian region, so it helps with the foreigners, with the rule there. But I just think with his height from set pieces would have been a massive advantage. But I just love watching him play in the A-League, and I think he's going to have a big part to play at the back end of the season. And just on him, and just on a number of teams, what I'm starting to notice here is the teams that have recruited well at the start of the season obviously started well. You know, Western United, Melbourne City, we knew they were going to be up there. But I feel like at the back end of the season, it's a lot about the teams that have recruited well that might not have started the season that well. And I feel like Adelaide have made some really good recruits in terms of Ibusuki coming in. And Wellington Phoenix are another team, exactly the same. Scott Wooten has been brought in, and he's just shored up their defence. And Gail Sandoval as well. So really good signings that have come in through the duration of the season. It just shows you how important it is to not rest on your laurels and actually, you know, continue that recruiting through the middle part of the season.
That's for sure, and I can tell you on the ground here in Adelaide that a lot of fans are taken by surprise with Irakunda, because his NPL performances haven't been great, to be honest with you. And it's like he just seized on this opportunity with that free kick all the way back when Adelaide and Newcastle last met. And his trajectory looks amazing from this point on. So it's great that we brought him up there. Very relevant, of course, having scored that goal in the last meeting between these two sides. Before we go, Ben, just a few other questions. Really want to ask you what you've made of Taylor Regan coming back into the Jets team. This is going to be his homecoming since having last played in Adelaide. And we actually spoke to him on this platform 2 years ago, where he unearthed a series of stunning allegations against ex-coach Marco Kurz. So people remember Taylor Regan for that quite fondly, probably with respect to him more than his actual playing escapades whilst he was here. And also, obviously, that ridiculous hit and shoulder on Mitch Austin back in the FA Cup that he'll forever be synonymous with back in the Hunter for. So Reeg's coming back. He loves Adelaide, loves the city, but he's Newcastle through and through, so it's a big game for him too.
Yeah. And Taylor coming back, what I know is that he was training with the Jets a lot, sort of helping them with numbers in preseason and sort of through the early part of the season. And I think they just felt that they needed some defensive reinforcement. So he came in. In terms of how he slotted in, I think it's fine, but I just think the issue for Newcastle is the speed in the back line. And he's a very similar player to Elsie and Matt Yerman in the sense that they're not that quick and they're a bit taller. So I think that's like, I don't have anything against Taylor as a player because he's such a hard-nosed player and gives it his all. But I just feel like maybe Arthur Papas would, if he's thinking back, he would probably like to have a bit more speed in the back line. And maybe there was a lack of options in that department. So I know that Taylor, I know he's signed till the end of the season, but we heard that he was going to be playing for Charlestown Azzurri in Newcastle. Actually, how about this for a combination? And Adelaide fans will respect this. Taylor Regan and Nigel Bogard were going to be the centre-back combination probably for Charlestown. I'm trying to think, have they ever been together at Adelaide?
Regan, I think they just possibly missed each other. I think Taylor Regan came in the season where Marco Kurz was brought in as the manager. So they might have just missed each other, but Bones is very fondly remembered in Adelaide, of course. Yeah.
So, I just, and one thing I think back to is, and just in that, that similar style of defender is, I just question why they didn't re-sign Nikolai Topor-Stanley, because it's the second time the Jets haven't re-signed him. Of course, he went to the Wanderers, what was it, about a decade ago, and Jets fans the season after went, why did we get rid of Topor-Stanley again? And it's the same thing that I feel like's happened again. And I know Nikolai, he's getting towards the end of his career, but I still think he had a lot to offer. And I think if you're bringing in a defender to replace the player of the year, well, they're going to have to improve your defense. And I know they're playing a different style, so it's not a like for like. You can't sort of look back at last season and say, well, the defense is a lot worse than last year. Well, of course it was going to be, because they're playing that different style, and that's going to be more open to conceding goals. But I feel like Nikolai would have had a lot to offer this year. And we're seeing that at Western United, unfortunately for Jets fans, not at Newcastle.
Most certainly. And just before I ask you for your prediction here, Ben, one other player we should bring up is Ryan Kitto, because obviously a former Jets player as well. But in recent times at Adelaide United, it feels like only 12 months ago or so, he was very much being deemed as though he was a surplus to requirements at the club. Yet now he's been given this more leadership role. He's been heavily relied upon to come off the bench at times and make an impact. But at the same time, he's been shoehorned into being this new kind of left back that we haven't had at the club for a number of years. And it looks like he's finally sort of pinned down that role. So, Kitto, is this a bit of a renaissance?
Yeah, I love the Ryan Kitto story, because he came into Newcastle as an unknown and he was really consistent. It was the Scott Miller season, I'm pretty certain, if my memory serves me correctly, that he came in. And I thought that season he was the perfect player under Scott Miller, because that season they didn't have a whole lot of money. They just wanted players that were going to roll up their sleeve and put in a really good shift and just put in a really solid season. There wasn't the flair of what we're seeing this year, obviously with Pena, etc. And I thought he was really, really good that year. And I was happy to see him go to Adelaide and just make a career of this. And maybe at a point in his life, he was wondering, well, is this going to happen? Am I going to lock myself down as an A-League player, or am I just going to be at the level below that at the NPL? So it's really heartwarming. And Ryan Kitto, I spoke to him, I think I did an interview with him at halftime in the Reds-Jets game earlier in the year. And he is a leader. He's leadership material, 100%. I'm pretty sure he would have had the armband that game. I'm trying to think if he for a period, and just oozes leadership from mine. And he's been through a lot. He's had a lot of experience, and I feel like players that have worked their backsides off to get to where they are just know what it's like and have that element of grounding. You think of, I'm not saying all players with natural talent, but players that do have a bit of natural talent maybe don't realise the amount of effort and hard work that some of these players that have really ground out positions in the A-League, this kind of effort that they have to go to. And I think that Ryan is a fantastic example of someone that just gives it absolutely everything. We know he hasn't got the flair of, some of the spectacular, players in the competition. But I tell you what, every team needs a player like Ryan Kitto. And Adelaide will be very happy that they've got him.
Very well said. And obviously we need a prediction here. So Ben, how's this going to unfold?
Yeah, it's a tough one. So the Reds obviously like to play some good football. The Jets do as well. I think it'll be a cracking game. I think it sets up to be a really good game. This is a tough one. I think I said last week I did that Adelaide. Did the write up for the Adelaide Perth game. I think I said a 2-2 draw. Adelaide got it 2-1, so I wasn't far off there. So I don't know. I just feel like it's a rare scoreline, but I'm going to go 3-3. How about that?
Okay,
is that all right? 3-3 draw. It'll be entertaining, but I just think there'll be goals. I just think there'll be a lot of goals. Two sides that love to throw men forward and go after goals. So it should be a good one.
Well, we've been seeing plenty of goals in the competition recently, so we'll keep our fingers crossed. Just before we let you go, Ben, talk to us about Paramount Plus and Channel 10 and being a commentator in the A-Leagues at the moment. I understand you're not calling any games this weekend. You were in action, obviously, just a few days ago. So talk to us about your current schedule and how much you're enjoying the gig at the moment.
No, I'm really enjoying it. I love calling football, and just been doing it since 2015 on the NPL, and I just am really enjoying this season. Obviously, it's been tough with COVID and crowds and that kind of thing, which has made things a bit more challenging. But it's been good. Like the previous few seasons with Fox, I was doing a few games, but it's been good to do more this year, and sort of work my way into with the new broadcaster. So that's been fantastic. And hopefully I get to do some more over the back end of the season. But I know that the A-League Women's is finished, so there's less games to call. So the main crew, Simon and Tao and Robbie will probably be doing a few more than me. But I'm just sort of looking forward to, each. It's like a play, you say look forward to one game at a time, but that's the way you got to look at it as a commentator as well. You can't be thinking about the game a week ahead. You got to look at that one that's right there, do everything you possibly can to know everything about the two teams that you're commentating on, and just go from there. And it's such an honor to do that job, because you get paid to watch sport, and that's pretty special, and that's the best part of the job for mine. So yeah.
Well, I absolutely love your story. There's not many people that can say at such a young age that they've really ridden the wave and found themselves now in such a great position. So I encourage more and more people to actually check out your story, because there's probably those Reds fans that aren't as invested as the core of us, that hear your voice on in the background and just sort of think, oh, that's someone new that they brought in. Probably have no idea about all the grinding that you've done, but there is material out there that they can access to find out more about your story. So we do encourage that from our supporters. We look forward to hearing you the next time you are calling a game in the A-League. Ben Homer, it's been so good getting you on Purebred Reds Adelaide United Fan TV. Thanks to our sponsors, Soccer Locker. But Ben, you're a busy guy. We better let you go. Thank you so much for joining us, and enjoy the upcoming football.
Yeah, thanks, Ellis. And would you believe the only team, I've got this because my notes, the only team that I haven't commentated this season in the A-League men's or women's is Adelaide men's side. The only team, the whole season. I have not worked on Adelaide game. I did a few last year, but maybe it'll be incredible if I don't by the end of the season. But there's an interesting stat. So I've done everyone except the Red men's team. So there we go.
I hope a certain producer at CBS ends up watching this and notes that you should be calling more Adelaide games. Ben, great to have you on. Look forward to having you call some games again soon, and hopefully potentially touching base with you again on this show. You take care of yourself. I know you're doing plenty of other work outside of football, but it's great having you involved in the game, and we look forward to seeing what else you get up to in your young commentary career. Take care of yourself, Ben.
Thanks, Ellis. Thanks for having me on.